Hey traders, this is Matt with Conservative Trades, ending the day down again, $120.14. This has just been a crappy week. I tell you what, this is a week that I don't ever want to think about ever again. It's Thursday. We've only got one more trading day in the week, and I'm probably going to end a little in the red this week. But nonetheless, we're still green on the month, but barely at this point. Well, I won't say barely, but this week just has not been good. And today was another one of those days where I just had some bad entries and had some bad calls, and I was actually doing all right. I was almost back to black at one point. But I ended up jumping in on this trade on UAL. And what I had noticed is the XLF was getting a major buy up. And of course, I was watching the daily here. I had these levels marked out. So I was feeling pretty confident as long as they stayed under some of those levels. And here on the intraday chart, you could see right here, I was watching for it to come all the way up to here. And I figured we were going to get, some kind of a double top. But it actually started pushing through, and, it was fighting it. It was fighting it. We started getting this nice sell off here, right? But then it got about right back up. It just was continuing to stay strong. And all while this was happening, of course, UAL was just continuing to get bought up with it. UAL was super strong, and as well as AAL. But this right here, when it came up to here, I just thought to myself as it was coming back down, I was like, man, I really hope that this is double topping here. And at the same time that all that was happening, you can see this was happening on UAL. So, and UAL, I was looking at previous areas of support and resistance, and I was also, well, let me pull out my studies here. I can show you where I started averaging in. Believe it or not, to only be down $251 on UAL is not a bad deal at all. But you see, I started adding in here, and this is kind of like how AMD was yesterday. I was adding in. Waiting for some really significant pullbacks, just to make some good little scalping trades. I was literally trying to just bring myself into the green today, and the thing is with the way that I was averaging in, believe it or not, this was a decent place to get out on UAL. I did only take off half my shares at this point, and I started adding more up here, and I had a really nice average. And by the time I had gotten out down here, I was only underwater a little on UAL. But this is the move that kind of got me, and this is the one where it was continuing to come up. I saw XLF was continuing to get the buy up, and American Airlines was just skyrocketing, guys. You can see it was doing pretty much the same thing. Look, these charts are identical, but it was coming up, and I was watching. I was kind of watching these levels right here, and I thought, okay, this is a good area of resistance. We've got a little previous support here, all through here. And it's kind of acted as resistance back here, and so I really felt like adding in over here was, or re-adding to my position was a good place to do it. And come to think about it, I think I might have gotten out all my shares here, and I think I may have restarted a position here. I think that's what I did. So anyway. Like I said, I restarted a position, and I even let it come all the way up. I let it move a good 30 cents, but I should have. I really kind of got in a little too quickly, because I remember thinking to myself, I should let this come up into the 60s before my next ad, but I didn't. I went ahead and jumped the gun a little and got it at 34.52. So that was not good on my part. And even looking back, hindsight, if I had just stuck to the chart, if I had just stuck to what the charts were showing me, I would have been okay, because this would have brought my average up even higher. And then I even thought to myself, you really need to let it get up to these levels up here. I was thinking more kind of these levels at 35, anywhere from right at 35, 34.98 up to 35.09 for my last ad. But again, I jumped the gun, and I ended up adding in the 70s and in the 80s. I was really jumping the gun because I was watching XLF, I was watching American Airlines, and both of them looked like they were peaking out at their points of resistance. But the problem is, and it's something that I should have known. I should have just, with the extra strength that we had going with UAL, I should have known that even when those two stocks are peaking out, UAL still, because of how strong it was moving up. In other words, let me show you this right here. So you see how it kind of came up here, but it still thrusted up on this candle? Well, not so on XLF. XLF, it kind of came up and just kind of touched around the same areas. It came up and had hit a high, but it never broke through that high. But when it dropped back a little here, you can see that American Airlines dropped back. Now XLF dropped back and got through the previous candle's low. XLF didn't even come down that much. And then when it ramped back up here on XLF, UAL came up and made all-time highs, or made new highs on the day, I should say. And even if you look at AAL, same thing. There's, like I said, it just kind of teetered around these areas. It kind of broke through here, but there's nothing of any kind of significance. We're talking 1 cent on AAL, and that's not a lot. And so, it just kind of flat topped up here and then finally dumped, while UAL was just remaining really, really strong. And so, watching UAL, the strength of UAL through all that, I really should have stuck to my ad spots, because the first time I got in was, let's see, 30. No, I got out my shares there. I think, where was it? 34.27. Yep. And then the next one I took was 34.53. This should have been 34.62, I think. That's where my original ad was going to be, right? And then up here, I shouldn't have even added here. I should have waited for the full move, at least up to 35. Okay, and if I had done that, instead of having an average, I can't remember. I think my average was, let me think about this, 34.48. That's right. It was at 34.48. So, and you can see I ended up unloading some of my shares here at 34.62, because I didn't know if this was just going to, bottom out here and continue taking off. I had kind of lost faith in the trade. I lost confidence in the trade. And so anyway, I took out half of my shares here at 34.62. But had I had averaged in at the right spots, my average probably would have been closer to about 34.60. And so I would have been able to remove those first half closer to break even, and then I would have been able to really let that second half of those shares run all the way down to this 9 EMA. It just would have been a better trade. I still probably would have broken even, but I wouldn't have been underwater. Okay, I wouldn't have been underwater. And really, if I had been patient enough for it to come down here, even after removing the first half there, if I had been patient enough to just do my first take profit at the 9 EMA and then wait to see if we could get to the 20, it would have been a beautiful move. It would have been a perfect trade. And this is the type of thing that I would normally do on UAL. I mean, I would normally do that, but with the strength and with how much this was getting bought up, I mean, look at this. Look at this. I didn't know. I really didn't know with how strong it was. If we were going to potentially come up close to $36, and I couldn't have held out for that, guys. And that's the thing. You gotta control your risk. You gotta manage your risk, because it's when you don't manage your risk well, you end up blowing your account. Now, I probably wouldn't have blown my account, but it would have been a devastating loss. It would have been a really devastating loss, and it would not have been good. So, in hindsight, yes, I could have gotten a really good move down here. I mean, I had at one point, I think, up to 1,500 shares, and if I had held them, I mean, can you imagine holding through that move? But that's just not how trading is. You guys know as well as I do. That's just not how trading is. And there was one point where I was down, unrealized, I was down probably, $700-800. So to bring that down, to manage my risk well enough to get out with just a flesh wound here, I think we did pretty good. I mean, we're ending the day down 120. I mean, you can see here just about every other trade was good. RCL was not. RCL was really whippy here. I kind of went for a move that I wouldn't normally go for, and I was shorting into what I considered to be weakness. And I thought here on the daily chart, we had a good case to come all the way down to 48, 47, maybe even 46s. But, at the same time, these markets are oversold right now. These stocks are oversold. So it just it ended up getting bought up, and so I got out for a little bit of a loss on RCL. But Twitter, did all right trading Twitter, did all right trading Microsoft. American Airlines and Boeing, and so we did okay today. And mRNA just kind of tricked me out several times. Here I started adding in here. I saw this massive sell off, and I thought, you know what, we've got to get enough of a pullback, and we kind of did. I took out half my shares here, but then it came up again. I added again, and I took out half here, and I took out the rest here. There were multiple times on mRNA where I really could have gotten out for a good $30-40 win. So that would have brought my loss down even more. So I actually took another stab at a breakdown move. I mean, it had tapped this level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and I really thought it was going to go. There was a ton of selling coming in right here, and of course we're looking at the 5-minute chart, but if you look at, well, it's not really showing on the candle, on the volume, the sell volume. I mean, that's a decent amount. I mean, I was watching this sell all the way here, and then on this candle, the buy volume just started coming back in. So mRNA can be tricky like that, but I managed it well enough to only lose $5 on that trade. But anyway, guys, this week, if I could do it all over, I would. Just hasn't been the best week for me, but you know what? We're going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to continue to see what the opportunities that the market offers. And, if you're new to the channel, would love for you to join us in the live stream. We begin the stream Monday through Friday, roughly around 9 a.m. And, would love to have you guys. And to all my regulars, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you have a good night. Take care.